Sometimes it is difficult to say what we need to. Even some simple things can be a threat in our conversation. Imagine you could talk fluently anything to anyone. That's why you are going to see it here. 1. A grammar rule, to know how to say your things. 2. A text, to improve your pronunciation. 3. The meaning of some difficult words, to improve your vocabulary. Do you want to get rid of your English concerns? You've got a good right step. Here you improve your 4 skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking to get a higher score in international tests, to improve your career abilities, and to immigrate to Canada or any other English-speaking country. Pay close attention to this video to find out how. In exchange, you help us by clicking on the bell icon to subscribe, and on the like button, to spread the name of Smart Mind. Now, here we go.
A versus AN. Our 3-part English articles tutorial gives you 25 usage tips to help you use articles like a native speaker. Here in part 1, we introduce A and N and teach you how to choose between the two. Use 1. The article A is used before singular, countable nouns, which begin with consonant sounds. Examples: he is a teacher, she doesn't own a car, I saw a bear at the zoo. Use 2. The article N is used before singular, countable nouns, which begin with vowel sounds. Examples: he is an actor, she didn't get an invitation, I saw an eagle at the zoo. Use 3. Remember that AN means one or a single. You cannot use AN with plural nouns. Examples: I saw bears in Yellowstone National Park. Not correct. I saw bears in Yellowstone National Park. Correct. Use 4. If there is an adjective or an adverb-adjective combination before the noun, AN should agree with the first sound in the adjective or the adverb-adjective combination. Examples: he is an excellent teacher, I saw a really beautiful eagle at the zoo. Use 5. Use A before words, such as European or university, which sound like they start with a consonant, even if the first letter is a vowel. Also use A before letters and numbers which sound like they begin with a consonant, such as U, J, 1 or 9. Remember, it is the sound, not the spelling, which is important. For example, 1 is spelled O-N-E, however, it is pronounced 1 like it starts with a W. Examples: she has a euro. Sounds like euro, that number is a 1. Sounds like 1. Use 6. Use N before words such as hour, which sound like they start with a vowel, even if the first letter is a consonant. Also use N before letters and numbers which sound like they begin with a vowel, such as F or 8. Remember, it is the sound, not the spelling, which is important. For example, F is pronounced F like it starts with an E. Examples: I only have an hour for lunch. Sounds like or. Does his name begin with an F? Sounds like F. Use 7. Some words such as herb or hospital are more complicated because they are pronounced differently in different English accents. In most American accents, the H in herb is silent, so Americans usually say an herb. In many British accents, the H in herb is pronounced, so many British say a herb. In some British accents, the H in hospital is silent, so some British will say an hospital instead of a hospital. Use 8. In English, some nouns are considered uncountable such as information, air, advice, salt and fun. We do not use AN with these uncountable nouns. Learn more about countable and uncountable nouns. Examples: she gives a good advice. Not correct. She gives good advice. Correct. NASA to return to Venus with 2 new missions.
The U.S. Space Agency NASA has announced plans to launch 2 new missions to the planet Venus. The missions will mark a return to U.S. exploration of Venus after many years. 2 new robotic spacecraft are to be designed and built to study the planet with the highest temperatures in our solar system. NASA chose American company Lockheed Martin to create and operate both spacecraft. The company will receive $500 million for each mission through NASA's Discovery program. The spacecraft are expected to launch between 2028 and 2030. One mission, called Da Vinci Plus, is designed to measure the planet's dense, cloudy atmosphere to understand how it formed and developed, a NASA statement said. It also aims to capture the first high-quality pictures of geological structures on Venus. Some are similar to ones on Earth. After arriving at Venus, the Da Vinci Plus spacecraft will send a probe into the planet's atmosphere. It will then use its instruments to measure levels of gases and other elements, temperature, and pressure, Lockheed Martin said. The other mission, Veritas, will map the surface of Venus to learn about the planet's geologic history and understand why it developed so differently than Earth, NASA said. When the Veritas orbiter arrives at Venus, it will use a method called aerobraking to place itself into an optimal science position in the planet's orbit, Lockheed Martin said. It will then use imaging equipment to capture data about the planet's geology. Venus is Earth's closest planetary neighbor and the second closest planet to the Sun. It is similar in structure to Earth, but a little smaller. Venus rotates in the opposite direction as Earth and most other planets. Also, its rotation is very slow. The air on Venus is so dense and pressurized that it behaves more like a fluid than a gas near the surface. The planet has extremely high winds that push clouds completely around the planet every 5 days. Such extreme conditions make it difficult for spacecraft to survive in Venus's atmosphere or on its surface. But scientists are very interested in learning more. Some believe Venus may have had ancient seas that could have made it habitable before unknown forces destroyed them. It is astounding how little we know about Venus, NASA scientist Tom Wagner said in a statement. He added that the new missions can provide fresh data on the planet's thick atmosphere, which is made up mostly of carbon dioxide. It will be as if we have rediscovered the planet, Wagner said. James Garvin is the chief scientist for NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland. He said in a statement he considers Venus important to understanding climate change, the evolution of habitability, and what happens when a planet loses a long period of surface oceans. The first spacecraft to explore Venus was NASA's Mariner 2 in 1962. It passed within about 34,000 kilometers of the planet. NASA says Mariner 2 successfully recorded the planet's temperature for the first time. It measured the Venus surface temperature to be about 465 degrees Celsius. The United States and the former Soviet Union sent several spacecraft to Venus from the 1960s to the 1980s. The former Soviet Union is the first and only country to successfully land a spacecraft on the surface of Venus. The first landing was the Soviet explorer Venera 7 in 1970. The Soviet spacecraft lasted less than 2 hours in the extreme environment. In 1989, NASA used a space shuttle to send its Magellan spacecraft into orbit around Venus. The European Space Agency also put a spacecraft into orbit around Venus in 2006. And a Japanese spacecraft called Akatsuki was launched in 2010 and is currently orbiting Venus. I'm Brian Lynn.
Remember to check the links for Canadian companies searching for employees outside of Canada in the description.
Mission: a flight by an aircraft or spacecraft to perform a specific task. Geology: the study of rocks and soil, and the physical structure of the Earth. Probe: a vehicle used to examine or observe something closely. Optimal: the best of most effective possible in a particular situation. Rotate: to turn or cause something to turn in a circle. Habitable: able to support life. Astound: to surprise or shock someone very much. Evolution: a gradual process of change and development.
Say to us your questions and pretty soon, you will see what we have to say. Leave your comments about this video, and we will know what you like and what we can do better to help you. I'll see you at the next one. Bye for now.